Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
We are back, and we are going to get back on point talking about real estate stuff. And the specific topic that we're going to be drilling down on for the next couple of days is going to be what your daily minimum standards are. But we're going to do this in such a way that all of you will be able to have direct frankly, you're going to be able to walk away from these series of podcasts knowing exactly what you need to do now to make money now. That's really what our focus is. That's pretty much it.
Yes. Well, you guys always ask, how do I become successful faster? How can I find success now? Well, we appreciate your impatience, and we know that you know, if you've listened to the podcast at all, that this will probably take longer than you would like, but we're here to make that still shorter, if that makes sense.
Right. Now, so this time of year, we pick up thousands, in some cases 10,000s of new listeners to this podcast, and I know a lot of you have already downloaded your real estate treasure map, but for all of you new listeners, everything we're going to be talking about over the next series of podcasts is going to, frankly, steer you back to wanting to have your own completed real estate treasure map. We've made that easy for you. All you have to do is text our last name Harris to 47372. Text our last name Harris to 47372, and we'll text you back a link to download the real estate treasure map, which is your fill-in-the-blank business and life plan. And you know, Julie, I have a confession.
What's that?
I opened that for the first time. Well, I mean, obviously we did it, but when we do it, I don't read all of it. We just download the fill-in, this fill-in section, and I went through all the pages. It's fantastic. It really is.
I should hope so.
I know, but the update you and your team did to it about 6 months ago was really great. So it's fantastic. And what this is it's your fill-in-the-blank business and life plan, and it is free. All you've got to do is text the word Harris to 47372, and the last maybe 20% of the book is all fill in the blank with regards to helping you work through what your own personal and business goals are. And a goal is not just, it's a goal is a dream with an action plan. And that's really what the treasure map is going to help you do. Drill down on what's really important to you and then create action plans around every one of those goals. So when you're completed of the whole treasure map, you're going to feel a huge sense of relief and direction. And as always, we always encourage you to do this with your spouse or your partner, and ideally with your children if you have any. Your dog or your cat, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But do definitely get this done. All you have to do is text the word Harris to 47372. And when you do so, you're also going to be entitled to a free coaching call with one of our new member coaches. So go ahead and text the word Harris to 47372. So back on point. And Julie and I certainly do appreciate the fact that you guys are impatient with wanting to make money now. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. And I've got great news for all of you. Ready?
I'm ready.
See, we don't have sound effects. Otherwise, we'd have great news sound effects. When you really drill down on what makes somebody successful in anything in life, but in real estate, a small business owner, for example, which all of you are, it always comes down to the same 3 to 5 things. Now, whether or not a successful person could actually verbalize that is a different conversation. But having done tens of thousands, or really, frankly, Julie and I have done hundreds of thousands of coaching calls. All of our coaches combined have done, I'm sure, millions of coaching calls, right? It always comes down, no matter how successful somebody is or wants to be, to mastering the art and science of really maybe 3 to 5 different skill sets. And after that, everything that is you haven't mastered, or you're not, like, there's so many different pressures to do this and do the other thing. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about social networking and branding and all the rest of it. But what we're going to hopefully convince you of is if you really drilled on the 3 to 5 most important things every day, you're going to be able to build a business that is sustainable, that's not predicated on buying business or buying leads. And it gets back to, never try to build your mansion on land you don't own. And your mansion is your business. Your mansion is your future. Your mansion is everything, all your hopes and your dreams. Don't build those predicated on, essentially somebody else's rules, somebody else's land. And that's what happens when you're buying business. Facebook could change the rules. I was just reading something this morning on Inman about Zillow now deciding that they're going to rebuild their business basically on selling, guess what, buyer leads to agents.
Of course.
And so what does that mean? That means that they're not necessarily going to be generating any more buyer leads. And right now, you guys will have to hopefully understand that buyer leads are not what you want. You want seller leads.
Not the current problem.
But they're going to be inevitably increasing the number of agents that they are going to be selling leads to, which means the leads that you guys are buying are even going to be crappier quality because now you're competing against 10 other agents for those same leads. They're going to go back to the way that they were doing things before they came out with Flex. It sounds like from listening to their last earnings call and reading some things that Inman wrote. So get ready, guys. If you're thinking you're going to build a profitable long-term real estate business on buying leads and buying business in general, you're going to be for a rude awakening, especially as we start to really settle in to this really historic inflationary cycle in the economy, which could last up to 10 years.
Yes. So remember, we're talking about how to fast track you. How do you become successful faster? How can you find success now? And the answer comes down to following a handful of simple daily rules or minimum standards, which you never waver from. This is your North Star. So we're going to jump right in as soon as there you go.
Done scrolling?
Down.
Yep,
yes,
sorry.
You do that while I'm talking.
I know.
Okay, so you're going to follow the daily minimum standards and find your success faster with fewer frustrations and distractions. Distractions like what Tim just mentioned about buying buyer leads and not following the right path that will get you to that success.
Let me start out by asking this question. What is it that you're spending your time doing now? Okay, write those things down in your head. You can, if you're driving or whatever. What is it that you did today? What are the activities that you did? What were the things that you spent time on under the circus tent of working in real estate, right? Yes. Now, next, how many of those things will absolutely positively result in a paycheck in the next 90 days or less? How many of those things?
That you can be sure of.
Right. How many of those things will result were a one-to-one conversation with ideally a seller about listing their home with you? How many conversations like that did you have today? Chances are, of the tens of thousands of you that are listening, it's essentially a single-digit % of you were actually putting yourselves in a position to have direct conversations with sellers. In other words, many of you have only been in this business for this really, I think, since 2007, 2008, where it became so trendy to be a passive lead generator and buy your business. Mm-hmm. The proactive lead generators have run the roost. If you guys, look, if you're not convinced of what Julie and I and our coaching staff has been saying for years, look at the present situation you're finding in the marketplace right now. Do you see why we've been begging all of you to become listing agents for the last forever? It's because this market cycle of essentially oversaturation of buyer leads, too many, frankly, there's more agents now in the business than there ever has been before. There's going to be more people selling buyer leads. The buyer leads are obviously going to go down in quality. You're going to see more agents failing out of the business because they never actually took the time to learn how to be a successful real estate practitioner, to actually be a professional, to do what they don't want to do and they don't want to do it at the highest level, to do the real work of real estate. You've heard all these things before. So now the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to get ready to get started, try a bunch of paths that will get you nowhere, or do you actually want to commit to your future and your potential in this business?
That's right. Hopium, waiting, trying stuff out is not a plan. What we're presenting to you over the next couple of podcasts here is a plan. So first, again, follow these minimum standards and you'll get to success faster. Number one, use and update your visual accountability whiteboards every single day. All of our coaching clients do this. We have pictures of them, etc.
They don't know what those are unless they've completed the real estate treasure map. Right?
That's why it says that
right
there.
So you got to download the real estate treasure map. Like I said, all these points are going to lead back to you having a real estate treasure map. And really, again, let's just drill down on what these are. At the end of the day, really what your job is in real estate is to be a proactive lead generator, be a furiously fast lead follow-upper, right? To be a fantastic pre-qualifier, to be a great presenter and a great negotiator. Those are the 5 activities that are going to get you paid in real estate. And Julie was going to, we could throw in a couple more, but at the end of the day, if those are the only 5 things you get really good at, you're going to have an incredible level of success in this business. And by the way, any other business as well. Let's even take this to the extreme. We are giving you permission, actually requesting that you're terrible at everything else other than proactive lead generation, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing.
That's it. You can actually suck at the rest. It's okay.
You can totally, matter of fact, you can totally not do the rest as long as you're good at those things.
Well, why is that? Because there's either an app for it, depending on what we're talking about. There's a transaction coordinator that will help you with it. Or, in many cases, it's completely irrelevant to your success. It's just a distraction.
And we've talked about that endlessly. Like, for example, how many of you right now or on some Facebook group while listening to Julie and I and asking what your CRM should be, and then you're studying what long-term drip email campaign should do. You're listening and learning about different videos, campaigns, using whatever that you're going to start dripping on people. Well, did you ever stop to ask yourself whether drip campaigns work? Have you ever actually done the research to find out whether or not long-term lead follow-up works? Well, here, I'll save you the effort. It doesn't. Every single research study that's ever been done has shown long-term lead follow-up is effectively a waste of time. You can occasionally get a deal from it, but the reality of it is what most of you will do is you'll spend all of your time trying to build these overly complicated, overly analytical, long-term drip email campaigns and CRMs and branding and this and all the rest of it.
And you're convinced that if you just wait long enough, somebody will magically surface.
Exactly, and that's the big lie of real estate. That's the big lie of marketing, by the way. Why would you do that when at the same time, for less effort and frankly a shorter learning curve and more guaranteed results, you could have just gone directly to sellers who have their hands in the air right now saying, yes, I want to sell my house.
Which will be a future point. So point number 2, review your finances every day. Again, we're talking about daily minimum standards, which will cause you to be successful faster. That means actually being cognizant of what in the world is going on. Review your finances every day. Are you on track, ahead, or behind based on what your real estate treasure map calls for? Now, if you haven't done your treasure map, it's hard to know if you're on track, ahead, or behind. You're just kind of blowing in the wind, hoping for some deals. We highly recommend, they're not a sponsor as of yet, but we do recommend mint.com as your dashboard of what's called KPI, Key Performance Indicators. Now, what does that mean? It tracks right in front of you. It's literally a one-screen dashboard showing you your savings, checking, credit cards, investment accounts, investment properties, everything else financial is visible using mint.com. And that does include even credit scores and your upcoming bills and an actual budget.
So Julie's first point was about dry erase boards. And the reason that we advocate using dry erase boards to basically have all your business KPIs out in the open is because you can't hide from them.
Visual. Yeah.
And it goes real back. It's psychology, really, at the end of the day. And I know some of you love to have things that are behind, a whole bunch of CRMs and the rest of it. But what we're here to tell you is a dry erase board is simply the most powerful way because you can't hide from it. You put it up in your office. Here's a little psychological. If you guys want to sell, each of you want to sell 50 houses this year. Here's what I'm going to coach you right now how to do it. Ready? I want you to get a big ass dry erase board, not one of these little dinky ones. And I want you to write on the board closings in permanent ink. Now, maybe not permanent ink, and you just write, closings 2022 through 2025 or whatever. You guys can figure it out. Point of it is a dry erase board, and then in permanent ink, number 1 through 50, right? 1 through 50. That's on your dry erase board. Now, on the other side of it, or on another dry erase board, do listings, same thing. And if you've done your real estate treasure map, you might discover, for example, if you had 5 listings at all times, on average 3 of them would be in contract, and you're going to, again, this is all part of the real estate treasure map, you're going to have, effectively we'll sell 30 to 40 houses just from listings if you have 5 listings at all times, and you'll pick up a few buyers and you'll double in some of them, so you'll exceed your number of 50. But the point of it is you want to be able to walk into your office and you need to see how many actual closings you are supposed to have that year.
Well, there's a lot of pressure from white space on that board.
Completely, and that's the whole point of it. And you're going to see how many listings you're supposed to have at all times. Now, if the economy starts to slow down, which we don't think it's going to in a meaningful way, but if interest rates go up, if whatever happens that's going to adversely affect the time on the market and the availability of inventory, there's going to be a resettling of the market. You're going to see the buyers, it's going to start towards the end of this year as the market starts to weed out some of the marginal buyers and the demand for buyers is going to decrease. Naturally, you're going to see days in the market that's going to extend first. And then within 6 months or less, you're going to start seeing price adjustments into 2023. That is a normal, predictable cycle.
Which means you may need more listings.
Which means you need to go back to your real estate treasure map, do the math that we've already essentially created for you, and then you'll know how many listings you need at all times to meet or exceed your goals. But this is the essence of a successful real estate business, and really any business. And I'm going to say this again because it's really critically important you understand this. And I'm trying to use very simple to understand numbers, mostly because Julie and I were English majors and we can't do complicated math. But if you had 5 listings at all times, every single one of you, and I don't care what, distant holler in the United States you happen to be living, if you had 5 listings at all times in this crazy market, you're going to have at least 3 of those in contract at all times. So that means your whole mission in life is to proactively lead generate listing appointments, learn how to pre-qualify them, learn how to present. You guys hearing this recurring theme? But if you build your business 100% completely listings based and you figure out using our real estate treasure map how many listings you need at all times, you will then discover that you will create the magic, the thing everyone wants. You're going to have consistent cash flow, which will allow you to have consistent, obviously, bills getting paid. But that aside, you're going to be able to save consistently. You're going to invest consistently. You're going to have a consistent profit. That does not happen when you're buying business. That does not happen when you're hoping your branding and your postcard mailing and your CRMing and your TikTok videoing.
Well, it's
and all
certainly
those.
not happening if you're just a buyer's agent right now.
Exactly. So
it's not predictable.
Your future, every single one of you listening right now, is to be a listing agent. Don't worry that everyone's going to listen to us, because they don't. Julie and I, this podcast has been downloaded 20 million times plus in the past, I don't know how many years. We might have, today's podcast might have 20,000 agents download it. I don't know. Sometimes it's like 10, sometimes it's like 50. So let's say 20. There's 1.6 million agents in the United States alone, members of the National Association of Realtors. So there's no chance, zero chance that every single one of them are listening to us right now and they're going to say, we're going to become listing agents. So stop telling yourself that there's not enough listings for you to be had because, so many other agents are competing for it. That's just your lazy excuse not to learn how to be a listing agent.
Yes, and that brings up another point that we're going to probably cover next week on another podcast. I haven't talked about this one yet because we have our schedule going. And that is that some of these guys are operating off of scarcity because when they do talk to a listing lead, they believe that there's nothing for that seller to buy. And that's because they have a very limited scope of conversation of options for sellers. So we're going to do probably a 2-part series of how to talk to sellers who think that there's nothing to buy, which relates to agents not looking hard enough for options for them.
Exactly.
Kind of a sideline.
Well, but here's the thing. If you're a proactive lead generator and you're doing what we teach you to do in the coaching in the coaching program, you're going to not only be able to generate your own listing leads, but then you're also going to generate, obviously, buyers who are those same sellers that are then hypothetically wanting to buy one of the listings that you're also taking. You guys get it?
Yeah, and if you guys don't think that's going on, you're crazy, because look at it this way. With historically low inventory levels, not just now, but all of last year, how was it then that there were 6 million closings? An awful lot of those, the agents had both sides. They saw it coming. It may or may not have been in the MLS. They had the buyer. They had the seller. They had complete control of the transaction. They had a lot of matches made. A lot of our coaching clients, they're on both sides of virtually everything, because they've been proactive and they know that this person is selling, that's a past client, and I know that you are dying to live in that neighborhood, so I connect you.
They're not doing pocket listings. They're not doing anything unethical. They're just doing their damn jobs and actually, matching buyers to sellers, opposed to waiting around for something to hit the MLS.
Which is their job. That's true.
For the last at least a couple of years, by the time something hits the MLS, it's been passed up. It's something, most likely, there's something about it that the agent wasn't able to double in it themselves or have somebody else, maybe another agent that wanted to buy it.
Or they're just popping into the MLS and getting volume credit for it.
And there's a lot of that too. Have you ever wondered why things pop in the MLS and have negative 1 minute? Exactly. Well, that's why, because they already had a buyer for it. That goes back to being a listing agent. Now, what are some of you going to do? As soon as you're done listening to today's pod, you're going to check your email. You're going to find some guy or gal that's trying to sell you buyer leads. Hey, Bob, are you taking any new clients in your marketplace?
Want to buy a lead?
Well, they don't say it like that.
I know.
Hey, Bob, we've got 5 people that want to buy a house in your MLS. Are you taking on any new clients? You say, hard no, I generate my own business. Because that same guy or gal are then going to call all the other Bobs in your community and sell that same lead to them.
Yes.
Stop doing it. It's a recipe for absolute financial and business disaster.
Absolutely. So point number 1 was track everything visually, because it will literally tell you what to do. But in order to know what to track and what your personal numbers have to be, you've got to get that from the treasure map, because your math is different than, the person next to you.
Text Harris to 47372 for that. Message and data rates may apply. Point number 2.
Point number 2, we talked about reviewing your finances every day. When you have your visual boards up and you know what you're supposed to be doing, that you're supposed to have X amount pending, you'll know whether you're on track, ahead, or behind. But Mint tracks absolutely everything. So there's no more hiding out from your finances. And the cool thing about that is it updates pretty much automatically for you, so you don't have to constantly be doing data entry like you would for QuickBooks or something like that.
Why do we always circle back to numbers? Because at the end of the day, I know some of you haven't developed the business maturity yet to realize this, but I promise you will, provided you stay in the business long enough. You will appreciate the recognition. You'll appreciate the adulation. You'll appreciate the awards and the plaques. You'll appreciate people thinking you're the greatest thing since sliced bread as you become more successful in real estate. Real estate agents, real estate industry loves to celebrate even a tiny indication of success. Over celebrate, if anything. You know, I can't tell you how many times we've run into some agent who's joined our coaching program who said something along the lines of, you know, I knew it was time to leave my brokerage when I was the agent of the year and I only sold 3 houses.
Right, exactly.
Well,
time to make a switch.
So the reason I'm passing all this information along to you guys is that you have to be thinking about the agent that you want to be, not the agent that you necessarily are. Because if you're in an environment where you're not going to be challenged and pushed along to the next level in your business, that's going to create an adversarial relationship with you and your potential future. So a lot of you guys are ready to join our coaching program. We've made it very easy for you. Just text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier to 47372. And you can actually join our coaching program for around $100 a month, just depending on which path you follow. So text the word Premier to 47372, and you can join as a Premier coaching client. And that does include a daily semi-private coaching call. Just text the word Premier to 47372, and remember, a message and data rates may apply.
All right, so point number 3. Make contact, which again is a conversation with a decision-making adult about real estate, with at least the same number of people as transactions you must do this year. That's a place to start. You can adjust as your skills increase. So for example, if you've got to close 20 transactions to meet or exceed your goals this year, you've got to make 20 actual contacts per day to meet that goal. And for most of our listeners, that's more than they're probably making, but more than they probably think.
So an edit to that is if you're, for example, now Julie she didn't mean to say transactions, she meant to say closings,
Yes.
or I'm sorry, listings. So we have to edit that.
Sure.
So if you wanted to have 5 listings at all times, you have to make 5 contacts per day. That's really the bottom line. That's what the treasure map tells you. So you have it in there correctly, and I just need to edit that. No big deal. But so if you want to have 20 listings at all times, then you need to be making 20 contacts a day. So that's really the formula for it. And again, you guys get that in real estate as part of the real estate treasure map. Point number 4, practice furiously fast lead follow-up with 100% of your leads 100% of the time. No exceptions or excuses. Don't have different lead follow-up rules for different types of leads. Use our 18 relentless lead follow-up rules if you're a Premier coaching client. Now, here's the key, and you got to remember this. Depending on your price range, most of your buyer leads are actually sellers. Most of your buyer leads have a house to sell. And if you do not follow our pre-qualifying script, you're never going to learn that they have a house to sell. The time for you to ask if they have a house to sell is at the top of the call when you call. Did you hear what I said? Call, conversation. That's the time to ask them if they have a house to sell. If you don't do it then, you're not going to do it.
Which home in the area do you plan on selling? I don't care if they're calling on a first-time buyer house. You're still going to ask them. I don't care if it's a neighborhood you think is all relocation. You're still going to ask them. That basically cuts to it. Are they also a listing lead? And there's so many mistakes that go with this point, Tim. In a market like this, there are agents who are not even using for sale signs because in their heads, they don't want any more buyer leads.
Well, they don't want any more buyer leads, which frankly I can kind of understand.
Yes.
But if you started tempting yourself the reality of it is if half of them, again, it's depending on your price range, right?
Sure.
If you're working in a move up sale price point, if you're moving in usually people buy their first time house and they move up when they have, the family gets a little larger and, those types of things. Some people, if they're affluent, might have 5 or 6 or multiple moves. Most people have typically 4, right? 4 moves. So if you're working in the Midland price ranges or the secondary house, the third or the fourth, you're going to find that those people always have houses to sell. If you're not rooting out of them right away on an initial phone call of you calling them back, you're not going to get any access to that potential listing.
Yes.
Don't assume, and this is in our scripts, right? The time to ask if they have a house to sell isn't I'll ask them later. I'll ask them after I show them the property, or I'll ask them after I work on my relationship. I'll ask them after I drip a bunch of things on them. I'm not going to ask them at all because in my drip campaign, I send them a bunch of cute videos with me and my cat asking if they have a house to sell. No, the time to ask if they have a house to sell is right when you call them back. But here's the key, and this was the title of this point: practice furiously fast lead follow-up.
Which means you're calling them back in the first place.
Exactly. And
you can't ask them if you're not calling them.
And that's the key, is call them back right away. Now, we're huge advocates of using 1-800-HOME-HOTLINE.com. Go to the website, check it out, 1-800-HOME-HOTLINE.com. That'll help you to be, furiously fast on your leads. But wherever the lead is coming from, here's a little something that'll, I think, gets in the and it makes more experienced grizzled veteran agents mad, but it's true. Grizzled veteran agents, this is absolutely positively true. You can lose business to a brand new agent because you didn't call that lead back right away.
Totally true.
Brand new agents, you can win business even from the most grizzled veterans if you call that lead back right away and you have lots of energy and enthusiasm. Your energy and enthusiasm and your furiously fast lead follow-up will beat the snot out of an agent who's lazy, who gets around to calling the lead back later.
Yeah, it is amazing how many times when you do call immediately, that you're going to hear, well, you're the only one who called me back. Or I've been trying to get information on this house for 3 days. You're the only one that's ever. Are you really a real person?
And then when you call them back and you pre-qualify them, using 800 Home Hotline, this is the script that you call them back with. Ring, ring, you basically got the lead. The system messages you and says, this is the person that just called on this particular listing. And again, go back and listen. A couple weeks ago, we did a whole series of podcasts on how to hot rod your real estate sign. We talked about all of that. Or just go to 1-800-HOME-HOTLINE.com. You can, with permission, you can put signs in yards of listing agents who don't do it themselves. Or frankly, you can put a rider on their sign that leads back to your 800 Home Hotline lead generation tool. They won't do it. You can do it yourself. Again, ask permission for that. There's lots of ways to use the system. But when somebody calls, you're going to get a message, an SMS usually, depending on how you have it set up. It's going to say, this phone number just called on this particular listing. And you call them back right away and you say, hey, this is Tim Harris. Remember, right away, furiously fast lead follow-up. Hey, this is Tim Harris with ABC Realty. As a courtesy, when people call about our homes for sale, we like to give them a quick call back, see if they have any questions about the home they called about. Now, right there, right in that very moment, they just hung up their phone, just having listened to the recording on 800 Home Hotline about the subject property. You're calling them back urgently. That in itself will win you the listing because you've just blown them away with how furiously fast you were with your lead follow-up.
It's so simple.
And that's a subconscious thing for these sellers. They're going to be impressed that you called back so fast. So here's the conversation. They're going to say, well, I'm calling to see if the home's still for sale. I'm calling to find out the current price or whatever. And you're going to say, well, let me check to make sure that the house is still available. And let me get you the current price on that house. Oh, by the way, which house in the neighborhood are you thinking about selling? You guys see how long it took me to get to the seller question?
And they always will answer you when you do it in that pattern.
Exactly.
With those words. They'll say, I live in that neighborhood down the street from the one I'm looking at, Oak Elm or whatever it is. Yeah, I live down there. And then you can have a follow-up question.
And then you get into the script more, and this is all something you'll have access to, obviously, as a Premier Coaching client. And no, we do not give our scripts away. And no, we do not sell them separately.
And no, you can't Google them for free.
No, because the fact is, it's just giving you the scripts and not learning how to actually use them is asinine. You have to actually know what you're doing. So they're not just words on a paper. They're words on the paper where you've had someone show you and tell you exactly how to say it. That's the reason we don't give our scripts away, because we don't want people saying, well, I used their scripts and they didn't work. If you used our scripts and they didn't work, it's because you didn't know how to use them. That's the point of the coaching program. This is the difference between what we do and what everyone else does. We're incredibly serious about your success. So in the process of reading the script, I think it's the third or the fourth question, you're going to say, oh, I assume because you're calling me directly, you're not working with another realtor. I'm not asking if they're working with another realtor. I assume because you're calling me directly that you're not working with another realtor. And again, you ask that in the initial stages of forming your relationship with them. Because if they don't have, let's say they don't have a house to sell, they're just a straight up buyer, and they're working with another realtor. You've just spent less than probably a minute on the phone with them, and you've determined that that's definitely not somebody you want to be chasing.
And you're not putting them in your drip system, praying to the real estate gods that someday they will use you.
Exactly. You guys get it?
We're trying to save you time.
We don't want you wasting time with time wasters. All of you who are believing that you can somehow take a time, I shouldn't call them time wasters, but that is in essence what they are. All of you who believe you can make an unmotivated, unqualified person and make them into motivating. We were having a little exchange the other day, And the guy we told him what we do for a living. And the guy was like, I've always learned how to sell. How do you talk people into buying a house? And it's like, wow, you really don't know how to sell because you don't talk people into buying anything. They're going to do it anyway.
And this was coming from a successful professional too.
It was funny.
This was not just some random person.
But he had no grasp. And the point is that all the most successful people in the history of people are great salespeople. And you don't actually sell anybody anything as a real estate agent. You do technically, right? But what you're doing is you're just helping them make the decision that they would have made anyway, and you're helping them to make it using you. Thus, you get paid.
Yes,
that is really, it's not complicated.
I want to hover on that just so they get this point, okay? What you were saying with the example of somebody saying, well, show me how to basically motivate the unmotivated. There is no magic script that does that, okay? You cannot, and there's no magic drip system. There's no double opt-in and drip on them for 100 years to make them motivated. There's not. But here's the thing. Because you guys don't always call everyone back with furiously fast lead follow-up.
Looking for the listing
leads.
You treat buyer leads as buyer leads. Buyer leads, 50% or more of the time, are actually sellers that are presenting as buyers. So forget the fact that you don't like calling buyer leads back. Forget the fact, treat them all as seller leads.
That's right. And because some of you have called some of them sometimes and they didn't pan out, you have then made the assumption and the leap that all calls are the same.
I don't believe
all calls are not the same.
But truthfully, I bet you a vast majority of them that are listening to us right now have been in this business for only long enough to buy buyer leads, branding, marketing, working on your logo, TikTok videos, social networking. They never actually learn how to do the real work of real estate.
This may be the first time they've heard of it.
Exactly. And if you are hearing us for the first time and you're a new agent, don't forget what you're hearing because we're going to save you a lot of pain and frustration. If you're hearing us for the first time or the 100th time and you're a grizzled, seasoned veteran agent and you know absolutely positively what we're saying is the truth and you're still not doing it, stop beating your head against the wall and actually start doing it. Stop making your business and your life so damn complicated. Real estate is the most simple business ever because everyone needs a place to live. Homeless people aside, everybody needs a place to live. Everyone will always need a place to live. At some point, you were really, really smart before you got your real estate license, right? As soon as people get real estate licenses, their IQs, right? Exactly. But when you decide, I'm smart enough to know that I want to sell something where there is no ceiling on how much I can earn, where at the same time, I want to sell something that everyone must have. You did it. Congratulations. Yes. That's it.
And you didn't even have to buy the inventory yourself. That's awesome.
So the reality of it is that you are in a business that you have something to sell that everyone absolutely positively must buy. So don't overcomplicate it by thinking now you have to do all this marketing crap. All the marketing crap does at the end of the day is just waste your time, waste your money, and moves you further and further away from a real estate transaction.
That's true. There are people who are not listed today because they literally have not spoken to the right agent asking the right questions with the right solutions. It's that simple.
Why would you believe that your path forward in becoming successful in real estate is because you're going to create mountainous amounts of content and hoping and believing that somehow somebody's going to miraculously raise their hand and want to do business with you. Here, I'll validate this for you guys. Just think about this. So let's just say you are absolutely the world's most amazing real estate agent, video producer, content, whatever. Everybody wants to buy your stuff or watch your videos. They are phenomenal. Who cares? What makes you think that's actually going to get you business? So what you're being sold into believing that stuff will actually generate listings for you or buyer transactions for you. But what's happening is they're manipulating you into believing that if you become an influencer somebody who has a lot of views or likes or the rest of it, that actually monetizes, that translates into money. Now, YouTube, and Julie and I know many YouTubers. We know because they live here. They used to make a lot more money than they're making now. The algorithm changed. How videos are searched changed. The SEO for videos changed. What YouTube decides you're going to want to see when you put in certain keywords changes. That is the point. Do not build your mansion on land you do not own. And that's what all of you practically do. You get into this business, you start creating all this TikTok videos and all this other Mickey Mouse, and you do it endlessly, hoping and praying that somehow it's going to work into some sort of transaction. You then surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing. You never stop. Like, you'll hear people, and we run into this all the damn time, who will say, Tim, I get my business from Facebook. I get my leads from Facebook. Okay, let's drill down on that. Bob, okay?
Poor Bob.
Poor Bob, I know. So, Bob, let's talk about where your business, tell me about your last 5 transactions, Bob, or 10. I don't even care. And Bob's, no. They're all this, the other thing. Nope, Bob, that's not good enough. I want to know who they were. I want to know what the address was. I want to know everything. Okay, then Bob's going to, hustle around. He's going to tell me what they were. We're going to write it all down. I'm going to assume Bob's telling me the truth. Now, Bob, I want you to tell me this first one, Steve and Betty Smith, right? So you're telling me that the only place they knew you was Facebook. Is that what you're telling me? Yeah. Well, they messaged me through Facebook. You just lied to me, Bob, and you lied to yourself. Who gives a rat's ass if they messaged you through Facebook? They knew you because you went to high school with them, didn't you?
That's right.
You guys get it?
It's like saying that Apple sent me that lead because they called on my iPhone.
You would have, right. You would have got, exactly, right? Apple's the greatest lead generator ever. So that's the asininity, just made up that word, that's happening with all these companies that are trying to sell you guys stuff, convincing you that's where the business comes from. They might communicate with you through Instagram, but they would have communicated with you anyway had you actually called them. And by expecting them to find you and communicate with you through Instagram, you're actually making it less likely that they're going to choose you to do business with you. This is the difference between a passive lead generation approach and a proactive lead generation approach. This is the difference between the way we prescribe all of you guys to build your business, where you are building your mansion, your future, your hopes, your dreams, your potentiality on land you own. That's what a skills-based approach, that's what a proactive lead generation agent will do. And they know, anyone who's been in this business long-term that's successful absolutely positively knows what we're saying is true. But they get sucked into the trendiness of the social networking. They get peered. They have FOMO. They have fear of missing out with regards to all these other social platforms. But all of this stuff is running its course. The massive trend of buying leads and all this other Mickey Mouse, it will start to dissipate, mark my word, as the economy starts to move towards a recession, when it looks like that is what's going to happen. Because all these agents who are buying their business, hoping and praying the business would come to them, they are going to be the first that unfortunately suffer needlessly and go out of business. All the companies that were selling them all this crap, they're going to fall. How do we know that's true? Because Julie and I have been in this business for over basically 25 years, and these are the cycles. We've seen this happen numerous times. And who are the agents left standing? The skills-based agents. Hoorah, frankly.
That's right.
The agents who know how to pick up the phone and do the real work. The agents who know how to present. The agents who know how to pre-qualify. The agents who know how to negotiate. The agents that are actually business people, they dominate.
The agents who follow daily minimum standards, who have filters, who live their lives by these points. That is the truth. So if you have not got your real estate treasure map yet, text the word Harris, I believe, to 47372.
Yep. Harris to 47372. Message and data rates may apply.
If you have it, but you haven't done it, get it done. If you've done it, but you're not using it, start using it. And if you have started to use it, but you want success faster, sign up for our coaching so you can have some level of accountability. So you have daily, semi-private Facebook live sessions with live experienced coaches. Happens every single day. We see clients, you guys will be like partway there with the script and you'll say, you know what? I have gotten over having to be on the phone. I'm on the phone all the time. I'm using the script, but help me get more success. And that coach will ask some questions and they'll discover something like, well, you're doing a great job on the script, but you're just not asking for the appointment. Let's get you asking for the appointment. A great coach is going to go in like a Navy SEAL and say, you know what? You're doing A, B, and C great, but you're not doing D. And D is all the difference.
You're going to send audio recordings of your coaching call or of your calls. You're going to send actual things that we're going to hold you accountable to, so we can then go in there, as Julie said, like a SEAL sniper, and pick out the little nuanced things that you're doing wrong. And sometimes it's the simplest of things. Oftentimes, frankly, it's not. It's,
It could be a combination of things.
You guys are calling at the wrong time. You have no energy and enthusiasm.
You're
on
only
the phone.
doing just sold calls or something where you have to make 9 million of them to get a yes.
You have to decide ultimately how much longer you want to basically procrastinate becoming really successful in this business. You have to decide. Stop worrying about whether you have fear of success or fear of failure. Stop looking for your flipping motivation. Stop thinking you have to have passion to be successful. Stop with all those procrastinating, time wasting, energy depleting, life killing potentiality exploding, right? Stop doing that. Stop looking for all these extracurricular sort of mindset woo-woo things. Just do the damn work. There's a quote from Elon Musk, which was awesome. Someone asked, I'm going to always use this because it was so powerful. Great. Someone asked Elon Musk, Elon, how do you keep yourself motivated? And, Elon.
On days that you don't feel it.
Exactly. And you could see Elon, you could see the computers, sort of generating, the AI bot was working to, turn out an answer. And his answer was, I don't think about motivation. I have a list of things that need to get done,
and I do them.
And they get done, and I do them. That was it. That's the answer.
So simple.
But that is the answer. If you are a Navy SEAL and you are forward deployed and you are with your teammates, there's no, oh, you know what? Screw this.
I'm not feeling it.
Forget it. Come on. No. Listen, boss. Before I go out there and I go into battle, you got to motivate me. Come on. No, we got to listen to more Anthony Robbins. Oh, no, we're going to listen to this mindset stuff, and we're going to work on, no, hold on. No, I'm going to take some NLP classes.
Oh, definitely. You have to work on that.
Definitely. Oh, you know what? I haven't actually got my TikTok video done yet for the day. You guys see how silly this is? Make fun of it yourselves. Make fun of yourself for believing it, and then get your bunch to work, because what are you waiting for? Guys, you only live once, and you're dead a real long time. So I have a question for you. How do you feel? Some of you, mad. I get it. Blame Julie. But most of you are feeling motivated. You're feeling excited. You're feeling optimistic. You're saying to yourselves, if those two, Tim and Julie can do it, I can definitely do it. I can definitely learn what it takes. I'm tired of waiting to, essentially get ready to get started. I want to be successful. I want to live my best version of my life now, as the title of the series is. What is the title again, Julie?
Yeah,
it's Real Estate Agents, Do You Want Success Now? If you want success now, that's not enough. It's the actions that you take now. And your homework, obviously after you've downloaded the treasure map, all of you should become Premier Coaching clients. That's going to be the shortcut. Some of you are going to rationalize, well, I think I can patchwork quill it together. I think I can, waste some more time. I need to listen some more, do some more Facebook surveys. Good. You go do that stuff. Okay? Just don't spend yourself into oblivion. Don't run yourself out of business. We don't want you as a coaching client unless you're ready to become a coaching client.
True.
Because if you're going to be on our SEAL team and we're forward deployed and we're in action with all of you who are actually serious about your business, we want you to have worked yourself through the worrying about whether or not you're on the right path. When you join our coaching program, you are on the right path. Because what the path is, it's the proven path up the mountain.
It is the end of the getting ready to get started to someday possibly feel motivated if the sun shines and it doesn't rain.
Exactly. So text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier to 47372. Remember, message and data rates may apply. Guys, please do continue to give us 5-star reviews on iTunes or whatever your podcast listening widget is. iTunes is the best one. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are going to absolutely expand what we're going to be sharing with you guys. Starting next month, we're going to be doing some interviews. We're not the normal podcast will be the normal podcast, but we're going to add more content for all of you guys because you've asked for it. We're paying attention to what resonates with you. But frankly, if you guys are, we do notice that a lot of you are looking for passive lead generation things. This is not the podcast for you. This is for the agents who are actually ready to do the real work of real estate and build long-term, sustainable, very, very profitable businesses. Mm-hmm. So thank you for continuing to make this the best, the number one daily podcast, downloaded podcast for real estate agents in at least the United States. We sincerely appreciate the support that all of you guys have given us. We're now listened to in 61 different countries. So guys, this is our pleasure and our honor to be your coach or your future coaches. Please do support us by giving us a 5-star review on iTunes or subscribing to our YouTube channel. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.